Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode of Irwin Hours. It is just me by myself today, but today we are going to be debriefing the sort of 2025 season and also the Abu Dhabi 2025 Grand Prix that just happened this morning. So, first of all, I want to say that I'd been rooting for Max. I was a big Max fan. I either wanted Max or Oscar to win. And just keep in mind, this video has a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't watched it yet, or if you don't want any spoilers, and you wanted to watch the race, replay the race first, do that. But back to my point. Massive Max fan. Really wanted him to win, either him or Oscar, but I already knew that going into the race, that if someone other than Lando was to win, the highest chance would have been Max, because Oscar would have had to win and Lando would have had to get sixth, which would have been a very low probability. And I knew that Max, obviously, amazing qualifying, he qualified first, so he's already set himself up for success. And basically, he just had a hope that someone could squeeze in between, because Oscar then was third, starting grid. Oscar was third. And we really had Russell, you had Charles Leclerc, even like Kimi Antonelli could have snuck in there. And I feel like it was really banking on, I think, in my opinion, especially George Russell to really get in there and try and be that extra person between Max and Lando. So I already knew that going into it. And so qualifying when Max got first, super excited. Little scary seeing Lando second, but I knew based off his previous starts in past seasons and just even this season that like there's a very high probability that he could not do well on his start. So I was really kind of hoping for that, but what was really awesome about it, well, obviously Max won the Grand Prix, but Lando won the championship, which, as much as I wanted Max to win, seeing Lando's reaction and everything after it really, like, it touched my heart. Like, seeing someone achieve their dreams will always make me super happy. And just like Lando crying and everything after, I was like tearing up myself. But basically, back to how I was hoping that Max could win, is that we know George Russell is always kind of up there, but right off the bat, lights go out, we start racing. Max has not a great launch off the line, but he's still up there. He goes over, he covers Lando off so that he can stay in front. And George doesn't move at all. Loses 2 places. Charles Leclerc gets up there. Fernando Alonso gets up there. And when that happened, it was kind of like, okay, we know. It was kind of like immediately like, okay, we don't have George. George isn't going to help us to be that person in between Max and Lando, because Lando had to get 4th to have Max win the championship. So we needed someone in between. Obviously Oscar was up there, but we needed someone else to be between Max and Lando. But just based off especially the performance of the McLaren car this year, like they were going to be, like McLaren was going to be up there, like their car was going to be way up there, they were going to be at the front. So it was just like you already knew that they were going to be right there, fighting for a podium, but it was also like, okay, maybe there's a chance George Russell, Charles Leclerc can get up there, get in there, especially during qualifying, which didn't happen, or during the race, which unfortunately for Max and Oscar fans didn't happen. Charles Leclerc was putting the pedal to the metal the whole freaking race, which was amazing to watch. He was so close to Lando. He was really gunning for it, and that was awesome to watch. But like my hot take about this race would be that it was very uneventful. Like after like sitting there after the race finished and everything and just kind of like digesting it, like I was like, if you think about it, nothing really happened. Like, yes, we had Oscar overtaking Lando in the first lap, which was crazy. That was insane. That was super exciting. We had that happen. Which was like obviously very exciting. And so that's how Oscar got second. He really set himself up well for that. But it was really like obviously you wouldn't want that anyway, but no crashes, no safety car. Obviously midfield battles. We had Lewis Hamilton dragging his tractor of a Ferrari from 16th to 8th place, which was crazy. Lance Stroll getting 10th, Esteban Ocon getting 7th, which they even said in the broadcast that the Haas car had been working for Ollie, but it hadn't been working for Esteban until this race. So, and contrary to, I think it was last year when Haas didn't allow Esteban to race in his final race in the season in Haas, he got a race this year, and he got 6 points. He got 7th place, which was awesome. Another stat, which is kind of heartbreaking, I think it's 18 or 19 years that Lewis Hamilton has gotten a podium in his Formula One career, at least one podium. And this first year since like 2007 or 2009 that he hadn't gotten a podium at all. And what's even crazier is that Carlos Sainz is the last Ferrari driver to win a race. And he just had a banger season with Williams, 2 podiums. He's one of my favorite drivers, and I was so excited about that, and I was so hoping too that he could stay up there in this race, possibly be that third place person. Apologies. But amazing season, especially in a Williams by Carlos Sainz. And I think that they got 5th in the constructors. I think that just gave them so much more confidence this year. And I think even if you think about it too, even though Carlos got 2 podiums, Alex still outscored him in points by just a few. I think actually it was Alex had 73 points, Carlos had 64. They were 8th and 9th. So really, if you think about it, both of them were doing fantastic in the Williams car. And they really put that car really up there in contention. And I think that's super amazing, especially for a midfield car. I'm really, really excited. I know there's so many new regulations coming in 2026. And obviously this past season, we just had last race with DRS, and we just, last race with DRS, last race with these regulations, all of that. And I'm interested to see what all these new, like with like the engines and hybrid like engines and all of these, like I'm excited to see what that will really do and who will be able to capitalize on that. You know what I mean? But I wonder if Ferrari will get back up there. It was absolutely heartbreaking to see how devastated Lewis Hamilton had been, but it's also just like really shocking to see them like not performing at all. Like Mercedes was doing great. The fact that Kimi Antonelli got so many podiums was amazing. Looking at the scores, Lewis Hamilton 6th in drivers' construction, or the drivers' championship with 156. Kimi 7th, 150. That's amazing for a rookie. That's amazing. I think that just shows too. The Mercedes car was working for them. And obviously I know there were like some crashes and bad races, especially in the start too. But he really proved himself. Another rookie I want to talk about, Isaac Hadjar. Fantastic. He did really good. I think he really proved himself this year. But I think that he needs another year in Racing Bulls. I do not think, even his video, it was like, what sums up this year? What's one word that sums up the year? He said promotion. We already know about the second Red Bull seat. We already have Yuki, who won't be in it next year. We had Checo, who's taken out of it. And now we have Isaac going in. And I just worry. I think he can do great things, but I think he still needs time to warm up and get used to everything. And I think too, just like again with the regulations, like next year, like I just think like there's just going to be so much change that we don't even know what's going to happen. But again, with this race, we obviously had midfield battles, but it was kind of like, I think Norris pitting pretty early on really helped him, because then he was able to kind of climb back up when everybody else was starting to pit. So I think that really benefited him. Oscar was kind of heartbreaking to hear, because he was on the radio. He was like, what can I do to win this race? What do I need to do? And it was just like he was just too far behind Max, and just from the first lap, Max was just gunning it. You knew he was going to win. And it was really just like, whole race was really just hoping that someone would be able to squeeze in between Oscar and Lando. Even Max was like, has Charles gotten to him yet? No. Even though Charles Leclerc was putting his work in, he was just too far off, and the McLarens just have too much speed. But I do think that Lando had a good season. I think Oscar did amazing, especially that this is his second, I'm pretty sure, year in Formula One. Like, to be that close to being a world champion is insane. That's amazing. And then Max, like, even he said at the end, like, I'm not disappointed. Nobody should be disappointed. Like, he, from being so far behind and making such a big gain in points throughout the back half of the season, like, the whole team should be proud of that, because at the start of the season, they had a terrible car. It was not moving. So for him to be up there at the end was truly remarkable. And I think, like, even though Lando won, in my opinion, still, like, I think that just shows, especially at the start of the season, just shows how good of a driver Max is. Like, I truly think that Max is one of the best drivers on the grid, but it was just a lot of unfortunate things with the car, and then also just with Red Bull in general. But yeah, I was like, but it was good to see Max still, like, happy after the Grand Prix. It hurt to see GP crying. Oh my gosh, that broke my heart. But I think that Max did a fabulous job this season, especially in the back half. And then breaks my heart how Oscar was treated. And just, like, really treated as the second driver. And as much as Zach Brown would say, like, we don't favorite a driver, this or that, I think it was kind of obvious, and it was definitely, like, especially towards the end, Oscar was leading for, like, for so many rounds, and the fact that he just started to fall off at the end of the season, like, doesn't make sense to me, and I really think they kind of dug him into a hole with that. But it was truly, truly eventful season. The biggest thing about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, was really just the title fight. And that was mostly just hope that a lot of, like, Max or Oscar fans were leaning on, was that someone would be able to get in there. But other than that, like, a lot of 5-second time penalties. Oh my goodness, Albon, Gasly, Stroll, and Behrman. And so that was pretty crazy. But I will be happy for Lando. He worked hard for it. And at the end of the day, these are just little kids living with a dream to become a world champion. So, thanks for coming to my Irwin Hours talk about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the 2025 season. And I will see you next video and next year after break. Woohoo!